Hello everyone, my name is Thel, and today we're just going to discuss how to enjoy League of Legends Ranked. It's a pretty common behavior that a lot of people just don't like playing the game, and there are a couple people and a bunch of people in general who aren't addicted. They just enjoy the mechanics of the game, they like the team cooperation, they like making fancy plays, they like supporting, they like doing a lot of things. I think this is just a video for if you're playing League of Legends and you're saying, God, I'm not having fun, it's just not enjoyable, like, what do I do? Just for context, I've been playing League of Legends for about well over 5 years. I've been playing since around like 2015. I've never really reached insanely high MMR. In 2019, I was able to get to Diamond, playing mostly just top lane. I play pretty much every role in the game, jungle and bot lane, lesser so than the others. And I rotate between a relatively large pool of champions. And I like to think I know a lot about the game. And I've definitely been improving. I still have a lot of way to go, and I'm still not a particularly good player, I would consider, personally. But that's not the point. And there's just some topics here that I'm just going to cover right about here. Talk about them a little bit, just from a perspective of someone who's gotten a better understanding of the game. So, first things first. People aren't having fun. Now, this could be a lot of things. People just don't have fun. Fun's a very subjective thing, right? You could find a lot of things fun. You could find protecting and playing Braum really fun. You could find playing top lane really fun. You could find just inting really fun. If you aren't having fun, typically there's a reason for it. I think a lot of people negatively review things too poorly, and therefore they just don't have fun because they're so up and worried about it. And I think if the issue is you're worrying too much, you're trying too much, first of all, you just need to reset that metal thinking. If that's getting in the way of your fun, there are many things you can do. First off, you can stick to normals. If you don't really care about your rank and you don't have a goal, by no means, just play normals. Just hop in, queue up for normals, and there you go. There's a match with no liabilities, no nothing to it. You're not losing a rank, you're not losing progress, you're not losing anything. So if that's the issue and you could care less about rank, just stick with normals and you'll probably be fine. The next thing might be like teammates getting really mad at you. Mute is such a powerful feature in the game that I don't think enough people utilize for how much things get to them. And I think a lot of people will benefit a lot more if they just type /mute all. It's definitely helped me recently because some people they just know how to push your buttons, and some people are willing to prove a point even if it makes you mad. And I think the best part is just to ignore it if it's that much of a problem. There's no reason to have chat available. The next thing is doing poorly, and I think that's just maybe a misunderstanding of the game. I notice there's a lot of players who play the game and don't admit to not knowing something, if that makes sense. There's a lot of people that are scared that they'll look bad for not understanding something, when that's not a very good way of just learning in general. That's just like an ego thing purely. And I've been there, right, where I don't want to look like a fool, like, oh, I didn't know Mordekaiser was magic damage, or something even as small as that, to even something that's like, oh, I didn't know that shoving my wave here was a big problem. And I think once you get a lot more concepts, you can definitely do a lot better. And I think it's important to review your play and see what's going wrong, to seek help, whether it be through coaches, through, unfortunately, Reddit. I recommend you avoid Reddit, and instead, if you want to go down the social media route, Discord. There's a lot of champion main Discords. There's the League of Legends Discord. I will admit, though, for Reddit, though, Summonerschool is pretty good. The moderators do keep a good job of keeping out a lot of the bad, kind of bad air, and I'll give them credit. I think that's a very good place to learn about things if you do struggle. And I think it's good to admit sometimes you were wrong about something, and to question kind of how you play, and to look back on it, because everyone learned from making mistakes. Even some of the best players you probably know. But I think those are a lot of factors to why a lot of people aren't having fun, whether they like to admit it or not. So the next thing is people just getting tilted. So people getting tilted. So tilt is, for anyone who doesn't know, is just a term for people that just get mad. that just get mad and they play worse because they're frustrated, regardless of how the game's going or just how things turn out. And there are many ways you can get tilted. You can get tilted from what someone says. You can get tilted from your brother screaming in your ear. You get tilted from a lot of things. And I think there are a lot of people with relatively weak mental. There is a point to tilting, because a lot of things that kind of tilt you that aren't like chat or stuff you can actually get rid of, there are a lot of people who give up early, and there's no way you can stop that. There really isn't. Like, if someone does poorly in their lane, there's no reason to tilt. It's just a reaction to seeing pressure, right? Of someone just going, oh my god, this lane's gonna get super far ahead. I think everyone gets tilted. There are some people who are gods among men, who have monk level patience and understanding and can go absolutely crazy and do super well. But that's not everyone. No one has had that much dedication and is able to do that. And heck, those people might not even be good at the game if they do, you know, play League. So I think at the end of the day, you really need to have a clear head. Because if you don't have a clear head, then you're not going to be able to play at your best. And when you're not playing at your best, you're a big detriment to your team and your chances of winning, whether you'd like to admit it or not. Just yelling about stuff and just where it obstructs your thinking is just not good. Personally, I don't think there is a point to getting tilted, and this isn't me saying I never tilt. I'm a perfect angel. I am such a bad tilter when I do get tilted. But the point is trying to mitigate that. And I think at the end of the day, it's just thinking a little more sparingly about the game. The next thing we're talking about is people trolling. So you could do the best you can to have fun and, you know, to not get tilted and to play to your 100%. I think it's perfectly 100% to understand there will be people that hard troll. Now, when I say troll specifically, or int, or whatever you want to call it, it's people who are actively working against your odds, whether they're taking your farm, whether they're taking your camps, whether they're running down your lane, whether they're disconnecting for no reason and it isn't like their internet went out. It's all, this is intentional. This is intentionally ruining your game, whether they're mad at you, whether they're just frustrated with the game and it's a side effect of tilt, or people who are just finding some sick enjoyment out of it. The only good thing you can do is report them post game and try to ignore them and try and do your best and accept there will be people. There will be people that'll inevitably obstruct your progress. And that's just an unfortunate case of Riot not doing a good enough job of being able to scoop these people out of the game and prevent them from getting in your ranked games, as well as people not reacting well enough to these people and these people not being treated well enough. Because I feel like a lot of people who do troll and get frustrated is a side effect of a lot of the negativity in the game. It's unfortunate, right? That it can turn someone to waste other people's time is really, really sad. But the best you can do, like I said, don't flame them in game. You can just say, come on, please play the game at best, but don't go overboard, because at the end of the day, like, it's not doing anything. Some people get very frustrated with that and just spend their whole time typing in chat. But at the end of the day, you just report them, and that's where people losing comes into play. Quick editor's note to keep in mind that you don't want to give these people attention, because at the end of the day, they're just trying to get into your head and trying to get a reaction out of you. Losing and winning is something a lot of people hold really high value on progress, but I think you need to accept that, like I said, with trolling and whatnot, you're gonna lose. At the end of the day, you do need to understand that, and that might help you get over this, because you're gonna lose. There are gonna be days you're gonna lose. The game is 50-50. There's no ties, there's no kinda wins, there's no kinda losses. It's whose Nexus gets killed and whose Nexus survived. That's the long and the short of it. You're gonna have games you lose, and those games arguably are actually really important for how to improve and how to climb, because they're displays of what went wrong. There's gonna be a lot of losses where people troll and make your odds of winning very small, but that's just something I think that a lot of people need to accept, and good sportsmanship can go a long way, and can go a long way to making playing this game a lot healthier and more enjoyable. when you can accept that you've lost, whether it be your own play or because someone just wants to ruin it, can just feel so much better than just getting frustrated with why you lost. It's not a good metric to go on. It's how you play, because at the end of the day, to improve is to improve how you play, regardless of what your teammates do. Some games you can 1v9 carry, some games you can let your teammates carry. But at the end of the day, there is a reason for losses, and all you can do at the best at that point is to just try and improve on where you went wrong, and perhaps how you read things, etc., or maybe how you even communicated to your team. We're going to talk about LP really quickly first. So LP is league points. You gain league points and lose league points depending on if you win or lose the game. There's a calculation with your MMR, which is basically a scale of where you are on the leaderboard for your region. So whether you're in gold or platinum is based on your MMR, and your LP basically determines your rank, right? So you get to 100 LP in gold 1, now you go into promos to platinum 4. You lose a bunch of games at 0 LP. If your MMR is okay, you might stay if you still lose, and there's shielding and ways to keep you in that MMR. But LP is a big thing a lot of people go crazy about. Like, crazy. Like, I think I should have got way more LP for winning this game. And I should have gotten so less. And it can feel miserable, but at the end of the day, it's so much better to not have this as a factor to your improvement. Because if LP is the reason you're trying to get where you're going, you have a really bad sense of trying to improve. Like, at the end of the day, if you're doing well, you will climb. The odds are so much better when you do well. When you do well, there's more chances of 1v9, there's more chances of having like a difference in lane, there's more chances of your team not tilting, there's more chances your team might just say, oh, we win. It's fact. And like I said, there will be times where it seems like everything's against you, but it's so more important to just focus on how you play. And the same thing goes for MMR. MMR, it's just gonna fix itself. Like, there are some people with accounts that have very messed up MMRs where it's so much further ahead of their LP that it is actually pretty miserable, but that's just a case of how the MMR system is laid out. But for most cases, for most people, there is no reason to focus on this. It's a good factor to look into, right? Like how far progress you made getting to the in-game rank, laning, grouping, team fighting, closing out games. That's all you should really focus on, is improving on yourself. It'll become so much clearer. And like I said earlier, with Tilt, with people chatting, it'll be such a better thing to focus on than these distractions of these numbers that tell you how good you are. And last thing I want to talk about with MMR is rank. There are so many people I've come across that just say, man, this guy's master, that's unfair. This guy's diamond? Platinum? I'm in silver. Why did they have a platinum? And so many people get rowdied and angry about people they play against rank. And I'm here to tell you that rank really doesn't matter. Like, it matters, but at the end of the day, you can still win. You can still find ways to work it out, even if they're a higher skill level of play. Even if you lose, there's even an excuse baked in right for you. They're higher rank. There is never a reason to look at someone's rank and determine their level of play. There are some things you can assume, but there's a lot of people in gold, in platinum, silver, that are varying levels of how they play. So everyone gets to where they get at different rates, at different levels of thought and understanding, that I don't think rank is something you should really ever look into, and that you should always just focus on matchups, how the game's going, etc. So many people get caught up on what rank the other players are, which is kind of a bad thing when it comes to Blitz and poor Professor.gg and U.gg and all these like information sites. So I just wanted to get that one out of the way, because I've seen too many people complain about the people they're getting ranked up into, and that they complain about other people's ranks. So next thing we're going to talk about is Elo Hell. So Elo Hell is a concept a lot of people talk about in general. that's just, they lose and lose and lose, and it feels like they're just in Elo Hell, that they're given losses, that they're not allowed to escape because they're put into this pit of bad players. And while it's a pretty interesting concept, especially with how far it can travel, it's kind of just, in my opinion at least, I think it's simply a product of people focusing too much on negatives. And like I said, being positive is very draining, and absolutely, I think there's nothing wrong with thinking negatively, but too many people put that way above everything else, and then they just believe, I'm in Elo Hell, I just can't win, garbage, out of here, surrender, surrender, surrender. And it's just like so draining to be around. So, like I said, I just think this is a product of people thinking too negatively, because people typically focus on the negatives either to solve a problem or to get around something, but the idea of Elo Hell, to my knowledge, to a lot of people's knowledge, doesn't exist. It's just a mentality thing. Just straight up, and I think there's not really a reason to even think of it like that. Next thing we're going to talk about is luck. So, at the end of the day, luck is a big factor to how your progress can go in League of Legends. There is a lot of lucky things to mention. AI bugging out, mechanics not working, you know, maybe a player's house caught on fire in the middle of your match. There is a lot of luck, and it's not something I would say to use as an excuse, but similar to what I said about people trolling and whatnot, it's just a factor. It's a factor at the end of the day. To say, man, I'm not 80% win rate is pretty laughable in the sense that luck is a big factor in that, right? You know? And while there are things to consider, like I said, to improve lowers your chances of getting to that negative side, it'll still be a factor. And that's just life, realistically, right? And while it's still good to look at the better odds and make decisions around that, it's, like I said, it's still just something to consider. So, learning and adapting, I would say, are kind of two sides of the same coin. But in the end of the day, the way to improve is to learn and adapt. To learn and adapt. To learn how you can solve these problems better. Whether it be a fed laner, whether it be how to finish your games, whether it be how to team fight better. And like I said, with adapting, it could be items, it could be where you're positioning, it could be how you're using your spells. There's so many things to this game that a lot of people simplify with just saying, oh, you pick a champion, you have 4 abilities typically, a passive, and then you have 3 lanes. And no, this game is so complicated and it's difficult. And I think a lot of people should pat themselves on the back when they do well, when they understand, when they adapt correctly, and even to a point, still question themselves, because sticking too much to an ideal, especially if it's wrong, like especially if it's factually wrong, can sometimes put you in kind of a pit where it's just, you're not improving, you're just stuck with this idea that you should always split push on Lulu top. Like, some people might figure out a way to convince themselves that that's fine, and there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with playing very differently, you know? Like, maybe this first item rush on Frozen Heart for this tank is smart in this situation. And like I said, learning and understanding and asking questions, and like I said, truly understanding the game can really put you at such a positive edge over the enemy team. And some people aren't willing to put in the work. And while it is a lot of work, right? It is understanding how the game works, items, champions, players, positions. There's a lot. There is a lot. And I think it's just over time and approaching the right resources. And there are so many things, and I can recommend a couple at the end of the video. And the last thing is superbly mentality, because it's like Tilted, whatever, but it's a big part, and I would say it's kind of the last hurdle I'm still halfway through. But at the end of the day, improving is, you know, thinking. It is thinking, because this is purely a mental game. How you click, how you move, decisions you make, things you commit to, etc. You just gotta do it. You gotta do it, and you gotta do it better, as terrible advice as that is. But more importantly, you gotta forgive yourself. Because if you don't forgive yourself and you make mistakes, it can really impact how you improve, how you think, how you act, and it's just not good. It's not good if you're constantly harassing yourself, and this goes deeper than League of Legends. This is a self-confidence thing more than anything, but it's still really important to think better and to forgive yourself for the mistakes you make, for how you play, for how you act, for what you say, for a lot of... You can spend your life making other people happy, but if you just push yourself down, you can end up being more of a bully than some other people can, and you can cripple, you know, how you affect other people's life and how you affect your own life. So I think there's more, like I said, more than League of Legends. This is just something important to know, is you're not so bad that it makes others cry. And while some people do like to exaggerate that, everyone's done a similar thing. Everyone's thought a similar way, and perhaps other people haven't, and they'll say you're exceptionally bad because of that, but you're not. You're really not. Like, if you're a gold player who just wants the skin most of the time, and you play a ranked game and people flame you because you lost your lane to a really bad matchup, you know what? It happens. And other people will try and put you down. As long as you think about, you know, maybe what went wrong, maybe how to fix it, maybe how to get around it, you're fine. There's no reason to bully yourself over that. But if you're the player that just says, whatever, GGOP, Malphite's broken, this champion's dumb, then that's kind of leaning towards what people are calling you, because you're just not really showing any care to the game. And it's unfortunate, because this is a team game, and you should play video games to have fun at the end of the line, but you can ruin other people's fun by kind of being a little too selfish. But anyway, this has been a League rant. I hope you did enjoy. Just a bunch of thoughts and things that I've kind of understood over time. These aren't really things to get you better at the game, but to get you at a better mentality and to potentially enjoy the game more, because there's a lot of people who either joke that they don't enjoy the game but still play because they're addicted, or people who actually don't enjoy the game but want to enjoy it. So yeah, I think League is still a really good game, and I still enjoy it. I think the characters are cool. I think the mechanics are really fun, and it's a very high complex competitive game, and I absolutely love competitive games. That's very accessible because it's a free game. It runs on very low-end computers, etc. A lot of people have heard about it. There's a esport to even watch and enjoy, which is absolute blast. If you really want to get into League, you just need to put in the work and accept that you're not going to succeed immediately, is the most to take away from all this, and the rest is just fluff. But it can be important if there are specific things that block your enjoyment. So as far as things to recommend, there are some great YouTube channels out there that allow you to improve out a lot of things. There is, I'll recommend a couple real quick. Coach Curtis. I think Coach Curtis makes great content. He's an Australian coach. He's been coaching League of Legends for quite a bit, and he was, I think he was handling one of the Australian esports teams. He knows the game really well, from what I can understand, and he does very excellent long videos that explain and go into great detail mentality, laning, champions, how to counter, etc. And he has a lot of topics he covers, even reviewing how players do. And I think he's a great positive YouTuber to make really good League content. My channel, where I'm planning to cover every single champ in the game in a very short format, and then go into a bit more detail on champions I know very well, particularly maybe if some people are willing to work with me, other champions that they know well. Summonerschool subreddit is really good. A lot of the champ mains discords are actually really good and really welcoming people, so I'd recommend most of those. Some of them are a little out there, so do with what you will and avoid some of them. Maybe look up, you know, if one's okay or not. Those are a very good resource, and yeah, I think you should stick to a lot of those. I'll leave those in the description if you'd like to, you know, understand the game a bit better and improve, because I think that's what makes League of Legends a lot of fun, is when you can do a lot better in the game and visually see it and go, man, I got so much better at CSing. I got so much better at winning my lane. I got so much better at counterpicking. League of Legends can be a fun game to play with friends, but there are a lot of people who are willing to try hard, so I think playing at your best with those friends can also improve, you know, how much fun you have. But anyway, this video is getting a little too long. You got to like 30 minutes of just ranting. But thanks for watching, and I don't think I'll ever do too many rants like this. So, thanks for watching, and I wish you luck in your climbing.